Hello everyone, and welcome back to another Star Trek Starships collection review, quarantine edition. This time I have issue 150, the USS Antares NCC-9844, another one of our Miranda class variants. This particular ship, or class or model of the Miranda class, was seen very faintly in the background in one of the many fleets on Star Trek Deep Space Nine. I think it was in either the episode Behind the Lines or A Time to Stand. I'm pretty sure it was A Time to Stand when they showed the fleet orbiting, or Favorite of Bold, when they showed the fleet orbiting Starbase 375. But they were very small, very faint in the background, probably about that big. But nevertheless, here we are with a model and a magazine. So I'll just dive right into it and get this out of the way for a couple of minutes here. All right, let's go. Here we go. Issue 150, USS Antares, NCC 9844. Considered Miranda class, of course, launched in the 24th century, 233 meters long, and can go as fast as warp 9.2. Very cool image of the ship on the cover. Pretty standard for pretty much most of the Miranda class issues in this collection. It's pretty much the same image with some minor changes, mostly depicting whatever particular ship and or variant is featured in that particular magazine. So we opened it up and find some more information here, as well as your table of contents and stand mounting guide, which is pretty much exactly the same as the other Miranda class models. And of course, as I mentioned earlier, it was NCC 9844, affiliated with the Federation, naturally in the 24th century. And aside from its length and top speed, which we already covered, its weaponry consists of phaser emitters, photon torpedoes. So we turn the page and have yet another view of the Antares there, which is similar, if not the same, minus the additions and stuff, to the other Miranda class issues in the collection. And here we have a screen cap of the Antares, etc., in one of the many fleets in orbit around Starbase 375. And as I mentioned earlier, there they are right here, very small. You can kind of zoom in and just kind of take a quick look at them. And right there is pretty much it. You never really get a look at it up close. It's mostly just in that kind of a scene. So yeah, we have some text here on the side, and turn the page and we have yet another view, CGI rendering of course, more text and more screen caps of the fleets leaving the starbase, heading towards the Bajoran sector to try to retake Deep Space Nine. And yeah, turn the page and you see the various plan views and where components are, etc., as well as some trivia on the side. Now, interesting to note about this collection, or about this particular Miranda class, out of all of the Miranda class variants that we've gotten so far, this one was specifically involved in the Dominion War. Of course, we had the Saratoga, the Reliant, the Bozeman, the Lantry, etc. But this one specifically saw action in the Dominion War, so I guess that's cool. And of course, a really interesting article here is about all of the kit bash, weird ships, odd ships that have been put together by various model kits or whatnot, just because they needed ships on screen. So that's pretty cool, and you got some cool physical models there to actually look at and compare if you want to look at that up close. And of course, magazine filler, this time featuring Chase Masterson, a wonderful actress and a very nice person. I've been fortunate to encounter her on several occasions. And pretty awesome and great recurring character on Deep Space Nine, and not, and definitely easy on the eyes as well. More about her character development over the course of the series, various images from episodes she's appeared in, and more on that, on her. And finally, the on-screen appearance page. It appeared in favor to bold, so I stand corrected. It was not a time to stand. It was actually a favor to bold. It was designed by, well, unknown, and that's pretty much it. And that pretty much concludes this magazine. We get a nice image of the top view of the ship there. So now I'm going to dive right into the ship itself. All right, folks, and here we are. I must admit, I'm pretty impressed here. A lot of nice detail. I would say this probably is maybe perhaps the best of the various Miranda class variants so far. Not that I think we'll be getting any more, but this one is probably the best, except for this one part of the nacelle, which, as many of you know, always bugged me. But at least they got the nacelle detail itself correct. The registration there is nice and bold and crisp. The grills themselves are black, which is nice, and they're clear, so you can kind of see through them, sort of. As you know, that little white strip down the middle, kind of like, let me see if I can find it in the magazine here. In the front of the nacelle should look like that, not all black. I know, I'm just picky, but heck, details and everything, right? So, yeah, other than that, it looks fantastic. And I guess if I were really crazy about it, I can always find a white pen or something and just draw a straight line down the middle very carefully. Anyhow, looks fantastic. Fits in your hand, about that much. Pretty much the same as the others. We got this weird sensor pod, whatever this is supposed to be here. It was never explained on screen what that was, but there it is. We have a nice bold registry number there on the back of it with the Starfleet stripe and Delta, which is awesome. I love seeing that. The registry on the saucer section is nice. Although one weird thing I'll point out is that there's way too much of a space between the USS and the Antares itself, the name Antares. But other than that, it looks great. The paint looks wonderful. We got a Starfleet Delta there as well as here. So it's in several places. Look at that. 1, 2, 3, 4. You know, look, 5, 6. I mean, just looks great. And of course, I'm going to assume the phaser emitter here looks good. You got the Starfleet stripe, pendant, and Starship USS Antares, United Federation of Planets there. So that looks nice. It's also on the back of the nacelle there. The rear looks good. You got your shuttle bay 1 and 2, your impulse engines. Very nice. The underside looks pretty clean. Paint looks good. Got your Antares name here on the underside, as well as the registry number once again repeated. You can see the join lines of the two parts of the model that they used to put it together. And overall, it's a pretty solid model. Not bad if this is how we want to end the collection as far as Miranda class ships go. I know we have the Reliant concept that's available now, which I hope to get soon. And the XL Reliant probably dwarfs all of these, or it does dwarf all of these because I have it. I can vouch for that personally. But as far as in the standard size, this one is a pretty nice one to end it. Personally, I would have liked to have seen perhaps maybe the USS SeaTac or the Majestic from Sacrifice of Angels, just because that's probably one of my top favorite episodes of Deep Space Nine. And of course, one of my favorite battles of the Dominion War. But again, one of the many benefits of this collection is that we get these random obscure ships and variants of ships that were only seen once that were only seen perhaps in the background, maybe that big, or on a readout on screen or something like that. And, you know, at 150 plus issues, I mean, it doesn't get any better than that. So I'm really grateful to have all these weird ships that I would have probably killed for, not literally, but you get the idea. When I was a teenager, when Deep Space Nine, Voyager, and all of those shows were still on the air, because I grew up while they were still on the air, I would have done anything to have this. I mean, I would have gotten a job back then just to be able to pay for the collection. I doubt my parents probably would have gone along with that, but I would have found a way. So yeah, it's mostly metal on the saucer section as usual, especially the top. The bottom is plastic, as you can hear. The nacelles themselves are plastic. So when you get it out of the packaging, be very delicate with it. The stand, I'm going to assume, is very delicate. It looks like something that would break easily. That's why I'm going to return it to the case. It's a very nice model. I'm very happy with it. If you love Deep Space Nine and Federation Starships, this is for you. If you love Miranda class in particular, this is for you. I'm also happy to report that my nacelles aren't wonky, and that's a term that those of us Star Trek Starships collection collectors use to describe nacelles on the models that are bent or slightly out of alignment. But in this case, they seem to be pretty well and spot on, which is always nice considering the delivery and travel times. So yeah, that pretty much wraps this up. In case you're wondering, once again, this was not a ship that's available so far, once again, on the EagleMoss website. I had to go to the back channel and get it via eBay. And as I mentioned in the other two videos, this was the third of 3 ships that I got from eBay in a single lot for a very low price for all 3, brand new, unopened. So yeah, I'm very happy to finally have the missing ships that I have been waiting for or wanting for months now. So yeah, guys, that pretty much concludes this look at the USS Antares, Miranda class, NCC-9844. If you have any questions or comments or anything, please feel free to leave it down below. And also, before I go, I'll just mention that we have our United Federation of Planets Starship USS Antares right here on both sides as well. Overall, a very nice and solid model, and definitely worth getting once it gets back in stock for those of you who are waiting for it or seeking it. And if you do happen to also have it, be glad you do, because it is pretty good. Pretty good. So yeah, guys, thank you so much for watching. And until next time, live long and prosper. Be safe. Wear your mask out there. Take care of yourself and each other. And of course, your friends and family during these most trying and challenging times, especially for those of us here in the U.S. and of course for all of my friends and family around the world. Take care, guys.